Once upon a time, our storytellers gather, bringing with them only a set of dice, a scroll of magical story elements, and a passion to create. Rolling for genre, setting and time, and character archetype, our storytellers Ethan, Ari, and Nathan weave a tale right before your very eyes. Stay a while and listen as we share our creativity in progress.
Back to an episode of Creativity in Progress with your host, Nate, Ari, and Ethan. I, of course, am Ethan. I know I'm saying of course, like you know what my voice sounds like automatically in your head, but I am him. We have Nate, and we have Ari, of course. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Like how you said you're doing all right while sighing. It's an oxymoron statement out loud. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So are you guys ready to start another episode, another story?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead into that. Okay, so we're in roll for genre. Hold on one second. Let me get the thing up so that way I can actually interact with it, so it'll do what I want.
Nice.
All right, so we're rolling for genre now. How many genres do we have?
We roughly have, if about on this list we have just 10. So we roll to 5.
Okay. No. We don't count that one. That's the lying dice. The first dice that always comes up. That's the warm up roll.
Okay. All right.
So you said we have 10, or
We have 10. Yeah.
10.
Go with 10.
Okay. All right. We have a 2. We're on 2.
2. All right. So this one is similar to last week's, but not quite. This one is fantasy. Either contemporary or urban or old school, whatever how you want to phrase it, is fantasy. So I'll go ahead and lock that in to our documents here.
Okay. Yes, please do. Okay. So fantasy. All right. And yes, let me add that into our genre tag as well, because I haven't done this in a couple of weeks, so I'm like, not as on
right.
point as I typically am. All right.
And his wife.
You spoke to her again?
Well, I mean, no, of course not. Why would I ever?
Okay, so now we're going to do settings. Let me pull up the dice again. And again, this is the warm-up roll. Okay, so actually, no, it didn't do a warm-up roll. So so how many do we have here?
So we have for under settings, we have 10 as well.
Oh, 10 as well? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to roll this. And we got ourselves a 6.
Nice. This is Ari's favorite. It is college/university.
Oh God, no.
She was a rebel rouser.
Okay. College.
I'll lock that in as well.
University. Okay, and I do believe we also do time as well on here. So
yeah,
we need to do time. So we have what? We have 3 options for time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless you know something we don't.
Oh, you know.
Wizard you.
Okay, so I just rolled it, and and we got a 1. So.
Okay, all right then. So under that, I will lock in. I'm sorry, under the roulette. 1 is past.
All right.
So last time we were future. This time we are past. So it's all coming together.
Interesting. The what's interesting to me about that is that, like, technically, like, we could go the cheap route and just do like what was that one with John Belushi?
Oh, you mean Animal House?
Animal House, something like that. Because technically that is the past. So, but
that is the past. I don't know if I call that a fantasy. Well, never mind. They would call it a fantasy. Never mind. You're right. Fair enough.
We could.
We could. We won't.
But we won't.
Well, it's an option.
It is an option. All right. Speaking of options, we only have 2 left to roll for, and that's our archetypes.
Yeah, that's archetypes.
Right.
Now, do we want to have do we want to do more, or do we because we can do up to 4, or do we just want to leave it at 2?
Well, let's roll and see who our main character is first.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you give them a sidekick or whatnot, yeah.
Let me that again. And okay, so what? Now this is the one that we have like 2 gajillion of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just put 300.
Okay.
Right. Quadecahedrons.
Alright. Okay, so now I'm gonna roll. That doesn't count what I just did there. And 145.
145?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it says, so we're going by 145. All right then.
Oh,
So 145 is the master. Ooh.
Ooh.
I like
hey,
that a lot.
we can do a professor instead of a student.
It
Oh,
can,
that's an idea.
because it's remember it's teaching somebody.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So archetype 1 is a professor. We'll call it a professor or a master. I'll put
Master.
both in there. I'll lock both of them in there.
Okay.
Master / professor.
Okay,
All right.
and then the second one. Go ahead and roll. Oh wow, 147.
147.
Wow,
That's
these,
right next to each other. Okay.
these rolls are very close.
They are. It says mediator.
Mediator.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Not entirely sure how to wield that, but we will figure it out together.
Do we want to do
Me
it?
neither.
Do you want to do more?
That's up to
Let's do one more, but make it optional.
you. Okay.
Yeah, if we want to plug it in, we can.
Okay. So yeah, we can.
These
do
are
that.
our rules.
Okay.
Damn it.
So
Yeah.
we will go ahead and add a third. And I'm going to roll again. And if it's in the 140s, I'm going to be annoyed. Okay, no, it's not. It's 183.
Okay.
Hey, well done. Well, way to roll, Nate. I'm proud. I'm very proud of you. You
Thank
said
you.
143,
183.
183. Even better. Even better. Even sexier. So that's a performer. Now, that one I like a lot. A
Ooh.
lot, actually.
Okay.
Performer. Because that can be quite a few different things, but also it's a much more, if we have one that's a professor and we have one that's a performer, one's obviously more active and one's more cerebral. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely okay.
so-
Okay,
Mhm.
that works. All right, let me.
all right.
I was doing so much rolling, I had to. I couldn't put anything in yet, so let me get these all this stuff set up.
Performer.
And we got mediator. Jesus Christ, I can't spell mediator.
Media, but with a tour at the end.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
good.
yes.
I
But,
did
but
good.
without the U. So yeah.
All right, and then
Right then.
performer.
We should be good then.
All right,
Here.
let me. Okay, so now we do that transition. All right, good. All right, and now we go to our new. All right. Okay, so we've got things.
Yes,
We
got
do have
things.
things.
Yes.
We have plenty of things. So, what we have now for our genre, we have fantasy. For our setting, we have a college or university, whichever Ari prefers. For our time period, we have the past. For archetype 1, we have a master / professor. Archetype 2, we have a mediator. Archetype 3, we have a performer. And that is the table we've set for our story that we're going to tell tonight.
Alrighty.
All right.
Okay.
So now, because we are in the past and it is a fantasy, my very first thought is a fantasy set in the past at a college university. My very first thought was that it's like this master or professor is obviously teaching some kind of like ancient, mystical kind of like either magic or something fantasy based, either magic or swordsmanship, smithing, blacksmithing, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
My
I'm kind of feeling. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say my mind went straight to Winterfell, but we just did like a mystic type thing.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
blacksmithing thing I like.
I like the blacksmithing, but That's not very. It's not very fantasy of you.
Yeah, very true.
Not
not necessarily, yeah. Unless part of what it could be is if he was trying to smith or craft some like amazing, or her was trying to craft some amazing uber weapon or something very fantastic. But I don't know necessarily.
So my initial thought is kind of like Harry Potter or the Magicians, but in like a high fantasy like a medieval setting instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a professor who is teaching at that school or maybe trying to apply to teach.
Or so the professor is actually trying to get into school. They don't work there yet.
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
Now that's an interesting angle to take. That the master is actually not. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing there, Ari.
Okay.
Or the master is part of their research has to go on some kind of quest.
Okay.
I'm just here.
Part of their research.
Although
okay.
part of I guess what the setting is that doesn't some of the story, or I guess the majority of the story, have to take place at the college or university?
Well, I think begin at it at least.
Or either begin at it or they're questing to it, but some of the story has to involve actual university or college, I think, too.
Well, that
I mean, go ahead, Nate.
Well, I was just gonna say, when I hear college university, like obviously, you immediately think of things like Animal House and Porky's and those kind of ridiculousness, horrible. Yeah. But comedy, quote unquote.
Let's stay away from the comedy.
Yeah. Well, I think, but see, there's actually one version of this, and the dad in me is going to show very hard right now. But there's actually one college university movie that I absolutely love that was done wonderfully, and that is Monsters University. And
yeah, of course.
A big reason was because it really played on those tropes. Like it made fun of them in a lot of ways, and it did so staying almost completely away. In fact, I've seen it 4 gajillion times, because it stays away from any sort of sexual aspect to it. But yet it still worked. It still worked as like a frat movie.
I mean, they're literally competing with frats. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does seem like this one. So are we trying to do this, even though it's set in the quote unquote past? Are we trying to keep it like more like modern past, like you said, like John Belushi era, or are we trying to go medieval, ancient past?
I think it would be interesting to like, because frankly I think just doing the John Belushi past, like doing the 70s era, which is where these were really born from, is kind of easy in my opinion. Like I think it would be neat to see what it would be like in and fantasy is the thing. So I think it would be easy just to throw it. It would be good to throw it into like Winterfell, something like that.
Sure. Right. That's what we were on that
college university story. It's a fantasy story set at a college university, whereas like Monsters.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
University.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
very university movie, and so it's like.
Okay. So one thing we can definitely do, I think, using what we have here, is I think the performer, in my opinion, the performer is the student that needs to learn from the professor. If you want to have it that they're already at the college and that's already happening, we can do that. If we're going to go the Ari's route, where the master the master goes out seeking an apprentice to teach, who is a performer, and has to bring them back to the college, we can go that route too. But I think that should be based off what we have here, the ingredients we have. That should be the setup. That's my opinion.
You know where my mind went when performer popped up?
What?
Con Man.
Oh,
yes, something like that. Yeah, something different. Yeah, Con Man works a lot.
I really like that.
Yeah,
yes, because if he's a master, he could be smart. If it's college, we're dealing with smart people. So yes, I like that.
And I think it would be neat to have our protagonist be a con man who cons their way into the school and is trying to hold up this air of like, yes, I really do belong here. I really am from an ancient family of, wizards or whatever. And the master knows that he's putting on these airs and knows that but he sees the glimmer of whatever in him and still takes him under his wing despite the fact that he knows he's full of it.
I kind of like this a lot. This is very but fantasy.
Yeah, that works. Okay, so what time period we're gonna set this around? I guess like let's just say medieval period or more recent, like the early 20th century. What time are we going for here, roughly?
Well, do we want to do like medieval, like you said, medieval, or do we want to do like Lovecraftian? Because that's it's a different type of fantasy, but it's fantasy.
Whoa, I mean,
sure.
See, I like it a lot, but it's an entire other genre.
Yeah.
Lovecraft,
okay.
Like horror based.
Well,
I guess
I guess
I was looking. I guess I'm looking for like I don't know, like I get fantasy as its thing, but like because are we talking high fantasy? Because if we're talking high fantasy, then
no.
That's
okay, so yeah, so because we have to cut through this. We have to go into the story. But
so I did have like everything split up into smaller genres, but for ease,
that makes sense.
I don't know.
So let's just go medieval. We said Winterfell, and you said Harry Potter. What if we kind of split the difference somewhere where it's kind of around? There's castles. This university is in a castle.
Okay.
Ancient past.
Winterwarts.
Yes, there we go. Winterwarts. We'll call it, and I'm locking it in too. All right.
No, we're not.
I'm locking it in. Winterwarts is funny. Ari saying no, we're not, like a mom disapproving.
She's like, no.
It's really funny.
No.
All right, but so that's the idea. We have I'm locking it in, the note in at least, that the story's about a con artist who, I guess it's a con art. He himself, the master, is a master con artist who sees or spots another con artist of some kind.
I thought the master was a professor.
Well, the master is a professor too, but he doesn't teach con artists at the university. At the university, he teaches something else, I'm guessing. But
of course,
understands the game. Yeah,
something else entirely, and the performer / con artist is trying to get in order to learn whatever that is.
Ooh, that's it. Okay. First off, let's open there. Let's open with that part. There has to be some kind of a trial or something that people have to go through in order to get into university, to get into this college. And there is where the master first sees our performer doing something, essentially conning his way into the university, into the college. So, like if you have your interviews that you go to at college or whatnot, something like that, and maybe it's because it's a fantasy thing. The trial you have to go through at a fantasy, maybe you get to perform a spell or do some kind of amazing feat or something like that to get into it. And our con artist protagonist does, it seems like an amazing magical spell or whatnot, and it turns out it's actually just an illusion or whatnot they created.
Okay.
So are they magical or are they just pretending to be?
I think they're pretending to be. That's
but if they're not, then how are they going to learn whatever the professor has to teach?
Well, they can. I guess part of it is you have magical aptitude, and the protagonist can learn magic later on. But as it stands right now, he doesn't have the ability to do that. He's faking it.
So maybe he has the ability to do like very minor magic, and he knows he can do better. But in order to get in, he has to show that he is like super talented at it, and so like fakes that he can do bigger spells.
Yeah, or we could go another route too. We could have it even that it's almost like mind spells. Like for example, he's able to do like cold reads, like ancient cold reads, or things that seem like mental powers of these people to fool them.
I like that. I like the I kind of think it's kind of a blend of the two, where he's using the cold reads mixed with like I don't know, like the little magic that they know to essentially con the admissions board. But
Yes.
Right.
but the professor who typically isn't a member of the admissions board, but he's put on this board because of, there's somebody called in sick and he's pissed about it, and
he's very begrudging.
Yeah, but he's like really, really good. Like he's like the Dumbledore of this place, and he spots him immediately, and he's like, yeah, this is a guy, but he's so good, I'm willing to let him in, and he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. He likes it. He kind of gives a little half smile, like, okay, I see what you are, and I want to work with something like that, because he himself may have been, who knows what, he may have had a weird past or whatnot. But yeah, that sounds perfect. So the idea is at the I guess Collegiate interview portion where the protagonist has several of the High Council looking at him. He's able to pull off a feat where he's able to kind of do like a cold read or pretty much determine, like, oh my gosh, this poor guy over here, his daughter just died from what have you. He's able to pull that out, and the whole admissions board is blown away. Yet our one professor, our begrudgingly professor, we'll call him Professor Grudge. Right now, Professor Grudge realizes what he's doing, and pretty much takes a liking to him because of that. Okay. And all right, so I'm gonna lock in Professor Grudge as a name.
We can change it later.
Yeah.
You can. I will not. All right. So yeah. All right. Okay. So now where do we go from here? I guess from here, we can kind of get a peek behind the curtain with our protagonist, and we see him actually kind of maybe make it clear that he is, like, what kind of a socioeconomic status he might have. So him kind of like sitting with his shoes, do they have holes in them, or I imagine the way I'm seeing this, if he has to pull off cons to get into college, he's not too rich. He doesn't. Most of the other people that are there can afford to be there and belong there. This person doesn't belong there.
Right.
One of the things I'm leaning towards, and we're influenced by the media we love. The one thing that I just keep that pops into my head is that show White Collar, and the main character in that, he was poor, but he was very good at faking it. He was very good at pretending to be rich. And I think it would be interesting if it's kind of a similar thing where he's able to fake it that he's rich, but the master is able to spot the the little things on his robes or on his whatever that kind of say, like, oh, that's not yours, like, like you stole that or whatever, and like those are other tells that kind of. And it also is probably part of the reason why it endears the performer to the professor, because he's like, oh, he's not doing this because he's just a jerk. He's doing it because he's trying to better himself, and this is the only way he knows how.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things you mentioned, obviously, Matt Bomer on White Collar. Yeah. Another one, of course, is Aladdin in Aladdin. The street rat archetype, where he's someone that is extremely clever, but was dealt 4 or 5 bad hands in a row. So we can kind of throw little signs, like, because for even in the movie Aladdin, there's a part when he gets in front of Jafar, we call the anti-master professor, who recognizes some things don't add up. Yeah, we could show, like, he's like, where are you from again? He's like, oh, I'm from Albuquerque. What? So if we have it that this, like, little signs, even early on, where we see our character, it could be something as simple as the clothes he's wearing don't match. And what I mean is he's wearing pants from one region, a vest or a shirt from another region, and shoes from a third region, almost so that he basically assembled his outfit hodgepodge on the way, kind of thing. And most folks wouldn't necessarily realize that, but because our professor, our master, is worldly enough, he's seen enough things to know these things are from different regions.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Or maybe it's like he finds these clothes that have been enchanted to look like rich people clothes, but and the enchantment.
It is a fantasy.
Well, yes, and the enchantment is able to fool most other people, but maybe this professor's specialty is enchantment.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like,
Yeah.
no, these aren't real.
Yeah.
Or something.
I'm locking that in. Yeah, I'm locking that in. So it's an enchantment. It's Professor Grudge is well acquainted with the idea of enchantment magic, or he himself has done enchantment
and that
magic.
fits with the performer aspect, because maybe the performer
right.
to get into enchantment magic.
Ah, yes.
Right, exactly. Because our protagonist is a con artist performer. He actually is able to. He has a silver tongue and all these other things too.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so Professor Grudge notices, as they say, game recognizes game. Professor Grudge notices the.
I also really like this idea is popping into my head, and I don't know if you what you guys think of it, but my thought is in this kind of fits into the hero's journey a little bit, where the performer is trying to get into this school for X reason, and
Yeah, he has a reason.
Yeah, he has a reason, but it's not necessarily the right reason. Like it's not like necessarily a good one. And the master, the professor, recognizes that right away and is basically like, okay, dude, you're gonna go the wrong way. Come with me. Come with me into the Enchantment 101 or whatever, because you have skill there and you can make something of yourself if you come this way. But if you go that way, you're gonna fail. Because that's yeah. So
right. Yes. And we can get, I guess, also because we're dealing with what you're talking about as well, Nate. And I love that idea. You're talking about motivations. So
exactly.
There's obviously a motivation for our protagonist. We'll call him Al Bomer, like Aladdin, Matt Bomer. Just right now, until Ari thinks something better. We'll call him Al Bomer. There's obviously some kind of reason why Al Bomer wants to go into university, either to get money or to learn a craft in order to save his family or a loved one or whatever it might be. And it's obviously going to be a motivation with the master professor too. Mm-hmm. Why would this professor or master want to take in this little con artist to teach him? Why would he want to teach or pass on his skills to somebody?
Because he's so good.
Yeah.
And because he sees him like going down the wrong path, and he's like, nah, son.
Yeah.
We're gonna help you out and make you the best that you can be, and also and it works for the professor too, because when you get a good student, it reflects well on the school and the professor.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So he wants that. He recognizes the potential for prize people. All right. Simple enough. It works. Okay. And so now we're getting into, and this is obviously that's more or less the opening of Act 1. And I guess we'll have it, of course, that once he's admitted that Grudge confronts him, and there'll probably be some way that once Grudge confronts Al, he won't immediately want to relinquish or show that he's a fake.
Yeah.
But Grudge will do something to pretty much he may even cast a spell to kind of have all the clothes basically move their kind of enchantment to show what they really are.
Ooh, maybe it's like they have like a kind of like a okay, it's been out for a while. I don't care if I'm spoiling it.
Do it.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
Oh yeah.
When
Mysterio.
Mysterio is like throwing all these illusions at a Spider-Man.
Yes.
And he has to try and navigate them. Maybe the professor does something like that to try and be like, okay, so you're not as good as you think you are.
Yes. So you're saying that Al is throwing these illusions basically at the professor, trying to scare him off, and the professor through them, or
Al is like fronting being a brat, and then the professor starts throwing illusions at him to be like, you don't know as much as you think you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the master here. I'm the professor. I can teach you.
Okay.
But he has to be brought down a peg first.
Yeah.
He has to scare him. Scare tactics, pretty much.
Yeah.
Scared straight. Yeah.
And I think I think it should be obviously not too slow of a burn, but I think it should be there's the admittance, there's maybe some scenes of just general what university life is, and then a couple of of little hint scenes of interactions between Al and Grudge, of Grudge kind of saying very subtly, I know you, I know what you're doing.
Yes.
you know, blah blah blah, and then it builds to a scene where, and this can be like the end of Act 1, where, you know, he rejects the master, he rejects the path, and the master's like, oh, you think you can do it? All right, bring it. And then
I love
they
it.
have their little
Well,
thing.
well, I like the first half what you said as far as Grudge confronts Al, and Al like kind of shakes him off like, the old man, what do you possibly know? I like that a lot. But what if we went full Mysterio in that he later on, I guess to finish up Act 1, the way they confront him again is that Al believes he's like sitting in his dorm room, or Al believes he's going somewhere that is real, more or less, and all of a sudden the world like starts attacking him, or something starts happening. The illusion starts attacking him, more or less, and he's confused and afraid and scared.
Oh,
and then the master reveals himself like, "Aha! I told you that you didn't know what you were doing."
I've got this popped into my head while you were talking about that I think it would be great if there's the confrontation, the end of Act 1 confrontation, where Al's like full on rejects, and the master Grudge just goes, all right, and then that night he's sitting in his bed, and then boom.
Something like that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I like that, but here's another idea that you can just like stomp on if you don't like, where the master's like, all right, well, have it your way. And then Al just goes through the rest of his day thinking that everything's fine, but suddenly all these like bad things start happening to him. He gets like this bad luck. And I don't know, there's just terrible things happen. And then right when the worst thing is about to happen, he snaps back and he's still there with the master.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what we got to play it out like that somehow to show how the full scope of the master is like he could do something like that. Your entire day was an illusion
of his entire day continuing.
Your entire 24 hours didn't happen. Yeah. Perfect. That's hilariously beautiful.
That is great, because there is that is one thing that, you know, if I don't know if you guys have ever had an experience where, like, and I'm talking like serious, like, time situation happens to you where you think a certain amount of time has passed, but in reality much more time or much less time. And I'm not talking about like waking up and being like, oh shit, I've slept in, you know, like I'm talking about like serious. I've had that happen. And that is one of those like fundamental will F you up situations. And I love that. That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great too, because it also it can show just like there, like you said, Ari, he'd having like the worst day possible. Like, things, ironic things and weird stuff would just be happening to him. He's like, how is this going on? Right. And it just showed that just how much control, almost in the sense that he can basically be God in his world if he needs to be. He can be a vengeful God. Like, I like that idea a lot. So so do you want to have it that he's still that the meeting place, the place where Grudge first confronted him, they're actually still at that exact spot?
Yeah,
there?
that's
yeah.
Okay.
Where like
he's not in bed. He's actually he's like there. Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, like he's about to fall. Like the end of the illusion is him about to fall into the mouth of a dragon, and right as the fire is enveloping him, whoosh, and he's back sitting in front of the master.
Right. And then he wakes up and says, he's screaming. He's screaming loud and like sweating and everything.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and like the professor is just looking at him, not like smugly, but kind of like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. You know,
a little smug. Yeah.
And then, like, and I think that would be fun if like after that's over, then the professor just like gently, or like he just like, you know, like waves his hand or something, and water, like a glass of water, just floats over to the kid, and he's like, "Take a drink, you'll be fine."
Right? Exactly. That's perfect. I love it to death. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm locking all that in as best I can. Okay. So I think. So that would be the end of Act 1, right? Or no? So we do have a third character, Mediator. I feel like the Mediator could be essentially our antagonist then. And there has to be a way to kind of show that the antagonist somehow incorporate them into the story even briefly, and then that'll be the end of our Act 1.
Okay. How do you think? I mean, it's a mediator. It's hard to make a mediator an antagonist.
It is because it kind of it pretty much goes against the very nature of a mediator. Yeah, it does. Unless the mediator is also like, say, for example, in this world there are like dragon people, dragon beings, or not even, let's say monsters. Like monsters are essentially creatures that want to be able to, um, I don't know, come into the borders of the college or whatever it is, and it seems like it may be, I don't know, a bad idea, and this mediator is fighting to get for the rights of these monsters to come into the university, like Monster University. And and his actual motive is that he just wants to. He knows that they'll cause a panic and cause chaos there and destroy things, but he's under the guise of trying to be a mediator or something like that. He's seemingly trying to bridge two different cultures, but it's for the reason of causing a war more than anything else.
Well, I was thinking, and let me, I'll throw out my thought, and then we'll see which direction we want to go. I was thinking that when I thought mediator, and again, going with the inspiration of what we talked about, somebody like the Pink Lady from Harry Potter, the
yes. Somebody very sweet and sparkly.
Yeah, like she's like another administrator at the school, and she knows the performer is a fake, and he spends the entire time trying to get him out of the school, and maybe there is a more global thing happening where maybe maybe take a little bit from your idea, Ethan, the idea of these dragons or these dragon people who want to join into the school, and the master and the con man are like, yeah, let him in, it's cool, and this mediator's like, no, but she's like the guidance counselor of the school or something, maybe, and going with that mediator thing.
Yeah. Yes, there's something there. There's something along those lines there.
I do like that idea. Like, I was also thinking maybe like kind of a diplomat, but I kind of like your idea a little bit more, because it is the school setting. So
yeah, it's a little tricky. It's rolling because we chose for a master to more or less be our hero, and
we could.
Yeah, go ahead, say it.
Well, I was just going to say we could, with minimal effort, switch master to mediator, and have the master be the head of the school, who's the antagonist, and the mediator is the quote unquote guidance counselor, who also happens to be really good at this one thing and is really trying to have him find his true potential as an enchantment.
That's what I was going to say. The exact same thing. It turns out it's a misdirect.
I like the idea of him still being a professor, but what if the mediator role was like also a professor, a rival professor?
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can actually teach as opposed to, I mean, not mediation, but you can maybe teach, what's it called? When you, like diplomacy or something like that. That's which would be, I guess, the idea of.
Okay, so maybe it's different enchantment schools where the master is trying to teach the performer how to do this responsibly, and how to like do it in a way where you're not just completely tearing someone apart inside, but the other professor doesn't really care for those kinds of things, so the mediation is actually basically mind control.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That seems, I like that a lot. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely something there. That's the idea.
Yeah, it's
that's what the kind of thing about if we have our hero and then we have our villain, there should be some kind of foils to each other. If one person is essentially faking powers like that to fool people, another person obviously their villain could do the same thing on a much bigger scale for much more nefarious reasons, so to speak. So yeah, that seems to be we did follow that thread there.
I think, and forgive me if this was implied in what you all were saying, but an idea I just had is it can be handled. I think one way it can be handled is the antagonist is a mediator of some sort, and we view them as a mediator and not necessarily a nefarious character within the story, but there's this larger conflict occurring, and then it's revealed later in the story that the mediator character is behind it and is like
Yes.
so.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Or yeah. He or she was orchestrated. I guess we need a female in the story, so we can say she was orchestrated because we're all right now we're all envisioning that character from Harry Potter too.
Yeah, I know exactly.
So,
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna call her a pink lady.
I'm kind of all right. So, like, yes, probably we need a woman, but I'm wary of making the only female character in this story the villain. You know?
Well,
Why
it
don't
doesn't
we
need to be the
make
only
them-
one.
Why don't we make the master a
the only
woman?
female.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do.
You got
Let's make the
it.
master a woman.
My man. Yeah, let's.
So how about we make the master a woman? Do you want to have the
Just make her a woman. That's
the
it.
mediator a woman as well, or just
No,
the
no,
master a
I
woman?
don't think the mediator. I think the mediator should be a man. In my opinion, I'm kind of leaning that way.
No, yeah, let's do that. But I still like the idea of him being pink. So let's make him we'll call him Pinky, even though he's
Pinky.
a guy. Let's call him Pinky. And we can give him a sidekick. We can give him a sidekick called.
Hi, Brian. What are we doing tonight? Sorry.
What were you saying, Ari?
I said, yeah, sure, we can make him pink, but I don't want to go too umbrage, you know?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Umbridge,
it's not
thank
gonna
you.
be like that. Yeah. No, it's just as a placeholder for us to remember these, because last time we didn't have any names really.
Okay, so Mr. Pink, kind of like...
Oh, you're going Tarantino. You're going
yeah.
Tarantino. I like that. Okay, so I'll call him Mr. Pink. There you go. Mr. Pink, who I believe was Steve Buscemi, right? Because he hated the name. Yeah, so Mr. Pink. All right, Mr. Pink is the mediator. And I'll go ahead and put the note in here now. We can always say it later, but his master plan is to essentially he's orchestrating a war like the Emperor in the prequels from behind the scenes. And Ari, if you could tell me again the way you saw him doing this as far as manipulating the minds or what have you, just to.
Okay, so this is very nebulous because fucking what's magic? I don't know. So the master character would be like their purview would be enchantment, and so would this rival character. But whereas the master who focuses on enchantment focuses on putting the enchantment on like the real world to make it seem like things are different. They don't go so far as to literally take control of a person's mind. So the villain would be mind controlling people into doing what they want instead of like helping things along.
Right.
I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Please help me.
So yeah, I like that idea, but what it could be is that because we saw from Al's point of view what he thought his day was, but he was under the safety of grudges. He was in one place going about his
Yeah.
We could have it that with Mr. Pink, what he does is he creates almost like an illusion on you where you think you're going about your day doing one thing, but in the reality you actually are doing action. So for example, in your mind you see yourself like cutting the grass or hugging your kids or what have you, but you're actually holding a gun and shooting people or something like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I mean it's just an example, but that's how it is. Yeah.
Damn.
Starts with the H. Q.
The Netflix show with Jessica Jones and the
Mr. Purple, the Purple Man. The Purple Man.
Yeah, played wonderfully and very creepily.
David Tennant.
Yeah, by
David
Tennant.
Tennant.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's something very similar to that. It's very similar to that. But also the idea is by just looking at the person, you wouldn't know they're even under a spell necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay. That makes sense. Good job. So that's what his power is. Mr. Pink is the media that is essentially trying to start a war. And I think part of it is too is that the quote unquote dragon people aren't in of themselves aren't bad people. They're just a different race basically. It's you're racist. But it's that the idea that you're trying to, if you're playing both sides, you can tell the dragon people, like, hey, these normies over here are saying this about you, and say the normies, hey, these dragon people are saying this about you, kind of thing. They're both victims of Mr. Pink's machinations, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I don't like that they're victims, but I like the
Oh,
idea.
All right, so let's call them dragon people. Keep it simple. Dragonfolk. Dragonfolk and ponies. Okay. And I'll put a note in here that its power is Mr. It's similar to the Purple Man in Marvel Comics.
yeah. And now that Al is like being taught by the master to like harness this particular type of magic, he can start to unravel Mr. Pink's plan and fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
With that
yeah.
brand of magic.
Right. Yeah, well, that's the whole idea, is being able to deceive the mind, or to look past illusions or things like that. That's the whole
Exactly.
enchantments and everything else. That's what you can learn for. And we could have it also that on some level that Grudge suspects that someone is doing something nefarious. He doesn't know who it is or where they are, but he feels like something is going on, and that it may be part of why he wanted to have a protege, someone that had the ability to help him deal with this.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and lock in that that's our Act 1. I'll fix it up some, I'll clean it up some as far as the details, but I'll lock in that's our Act 1. I'll deal with I'm gonna do that. So I guess the fun part, this is my favorite part of all kinds of movies and stories and whatnot, is more or less the training montages, or the training. So we have to actually get into the master teaching the performer how to do illusions or enchantments or magic of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'd be the beginning of Act 2, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be good. You know, so there's the whole illusion, like, oh, you think you're hot stuff? I'm going to terrify you for an entire day and psychologically scar you for the rest of your life. Will you join me now? And I'm going to hold your psyche hostage until you agree.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, care about this candy? What, sir? Mr. Cosby? All right.
Oh no! Please don't.
I'm only said it just to bother you.
Well, I don't appreciate it, so don't do it again.
All right. Act 2.
But
Let me start off with the.
But yeah, and then just go into the like, oh, okay, so and then maybe have like a little mini scene of like a day or so later where he comes back and he's like, the performer comes back and he's like, all right, that was like, yeah, you terrified me, but that was kind of cool. Can you show me how to do it? And then
Right, yeah. First, he's very put off and leaves angrily from him, and then he comes.
The master figures that the only way that they're gonna get through to this kid is to scare the shit out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And it works. It does work.
Yeah,
it does work.
And I think like he comes back and he's like that, and then it goes into the montage of the Eye of the Tiger starts playing. You know, he's there. For some reason now they're in Philadelphia, and they go through a training montage.
Why not? Yeah, they run up the steps together.
Exactly.
Paulo Creed's afro's there for whatever reason. Yeah, I like it all. Okay. Al comes back to Grudge to begin his training montage. I'm putting a montage. You can't stop me.
Well, that makes sense in this scenario.
Sure. Now, part of what it is too, for S&Gs, just for my well-being, what are just one or two things that could happen? I mean, because a part of it is, as well as we're doing plants and payoffs, some of the things that Al learns with the master will be used in the future to hopefully, I guess, take down either the mediator or some of his henchmen or what have you. So what's something that he could learn, a skill he could learn?
Well, he could learn exactly what the master did to him in order, which is very, very powerful, but he could,
Oh yeah, I got a vision of I've got a vision of
Ooh, nice drugs.
LSD is a hell of a drug. Anyway, but the I got a vision of so he gets terrified by the master, and then goes through, and then a similar thing happens to the mediator, but there are hints within it to the audience in the story that like, oh, this is kind of mirroring this other thing that happened earlier, and it was during that illusion thing. And then so kind of like little like, oh, is the and maybe the master has kind of been taken out of the equation at this point, like in some way, like maybe wounded or something. So I'm kind of jumping to Act 3, I realize, but I get this vision of this happening near the end to the antagonist.
Okay, so yes, so what you're saying though, this vision that Al is having this vision.
No, the antagonist is having the vision, but
okay.
But it's done in such a way that there's like hints that it's like, oh, this bad guy is getting messed with, but wait, the master was taken out. Who's doing this to him? And then it's revealed that it was Al.
Okay.
Doing it to him.
I think we should, yes, I like the idea of the meteor having a vision, which of course scares him into like wanting to do more action. But I don't necessarily want to show right away that it's Al. It could become like the mysterious figures doing this to him.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like I said this was jumping to Act 3. I realize I'm jumping, but I wanted to get the idea out there so that way we could have it.
Yeah.
Let's note it down, but let's save Act 3 for episode 4.
Okay. We keep it. I think, and part of the motivation for the meteor doing what he's doing is because he has visions of his demise, so he's that much more. You can have that as a note too. Okay, but so for this part, for Act 2, to begin Act 2, like you guys said, Al is trying to learn essentially the same idea, to be able to, in small steps, learn how to manipulate people's minds or make them see things that aren't really there.
Right.
And we had to start off small. So the easiest way to do it, as opposed to creating an entire world that they're walking in for 24 hours, would be for them to just see an object that's not actually really there. And like he could hold up his hand and you can see like a rock in his hand that's actually there. But how would you? I guess I'm trying to get into like some of the specifics of how would you teach someone sleight of hand or teach someone.
Well, I think
ability.
That might be getting bogged down in details a little bit.
Yeah, maybe too much.
We don't need to focus on how. We just need to focus on like the what that will help him later on.
Fair enough. So that's what we show in the montage. We'll just show in the montage. We'll show him creating illusions and things like that. They get slowly bigger over time.
Right.
And I guess the end of, so I'll lock that in. The montage shows him creating illusions. And I guess the final test of this montage would be him trying to do the same thing to Grudge that Grudge did to him. And we just see Grudge going about his day at the university, what have you. And then all of a sudden, Al like walks into the illusion and says, "Aha, I got you," or what have you. He wakes up. He's like, "Not bad," kind of thing. Like, you created a whole fictional world for me too. Not bad. I got you. Kind of like Professor X can do with people as well.
I think it would be interesting to have that, but I think it should be kind of, so I think it should be part of the montage, and I think it should be maybe a running theme through Act 2 that he's trying to get the master, and the master keeps sussing it out. And
exactly.
And he's
seeing through it.
Yeah. And he's basically like, all right, come on out, all right, come on. And then, but it's the, and that kind of sets up the, okay, this is the thing that he needs to master before he can win the day at the end of the whole thing.
Right, exactly. I like that a lot. And that is an ongoing thing. He keeps seeing through it. And it could be in the end that actually defeats the master of something small. It's not even something big, something little that actually is what the Al keeps thinking that bigger is better, and it turns out something small is enough to actually fool him.
Yeah.
But we can get into that detail later on. But that's fine, and that's kind of the same thing that I know we're not doing third act now, but that could be something that happens later on too. That's how he's able to defeat Mr. Pink. Is by using something small to defeat him as opposed to something big.
Yeah, and I think it needs to be that at least before we get into Act 3 and the final climax, I think it needs to be left hanging like he still hasn't done it. And so it's like he hasn't achieved what we all as the audience think he needs to win. And then, like you said, it's the something small that gets them that at the very end.
Yep, I'm looking all this stuff in Act 2. Not the stuff we talked about for the end, but the stuff in Act 2 with the montage and going smaller as opposed to bigger. Yep.
This might be a good place to leave off on.
Yes, actually, and timing-wise, that's actually perfect.
I agree entirely.
Look at you, Ari, on point. And I'm over here sleeping at the wheel. All right, so
Cool
I'll
deal.
let
Let
Ethan
me.
finish that up and get him ready for his
Yep.
for the.
And it's my favorite part of the show.
Quick
The favorite part
summary.
of the show is always like, because I don't see what Ari draws while she during the show. So at the end, I get to bring up the Discord and see what it is. And of course, it's amazing, stunning. like the amazingest. Holy God Almighty! It's like I went to McDonald's and said, "Can I get a burger?" And they brought out this big like porterhouse steak with the baked potato.
Oh, that
You
is.
know how it is.
Yeah, I know how you
This is
grow.
glorious. Oh man. Oh, and I need
Al
to-
Bomer. He looks like he's gonna be Al Bomer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took your like you're like, oh, it's Aladdin. I was like, yes. So
So for those
That's
of you those of you who are listening to the podcast and cannot see Ari's masterpiece, which she's created, please come on to Twitch so you can check
Yes.
it out as we do these, and also we'll have these available in other avenues as well.
Yes.
But yeah, it's definitely worth your eyes,
Oh yeah. This is awesome.
worthy of your eyes. I can't even talk.
That is amazing. Yes.
All right. So Nate, do you want to wrap this puppy up as you always?
Yes.
Like to put it?
Hold on, I'm being cute on the stream. Anyway, so yeah, let me hold on. Sorry, I'm asleep at the wheel again. Oh, God, what am I doing?
Okay.
Don't drive that off the cliff.
Okay. Oh, there we are. All right. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So we are finishing up here. So Ethan, did you want to do a quick just a quick summary
Sure.
of what we are doing?
I will gladly do a quick summary. Just to wrap up real quick. Fantasy, the genre we rolled for was fantasy. Setting was college or university. Time period was the past. Archetype number 1 was master professor. Archetype number 2 is mediator. Archetype number 3 was performer. In Act 1, we have our protagonist, aka Al Bomer, is a con artist that is trying to get into college. And at the admissions board, he pulls off basically a cold read or cons his way in there. But Professor Grudge notices what he's doing and takes a liking to him. Then Professor Grudge confronts him and tries to actually reason with him and tell him that, tries to kind of take him on under his wing. Al, of course, refuses it, and Professor Grudge lets him go about his way. And as Al is going through his whole day, he realizes that everything's going wrong. He's having a really bad day. Turns out that the entire day he's had is just nothing more than an illusion. Al is, of course, furious with Grudge for giving him an entire illusion to have, and he thus walks off in a tirade. But after some time has passed, he realizes that that kind of a master would be great to have, so he goes back to him and wants to learn from him. You see a montage of Al getting into Al learning how to do illusions the proper way, with a proper master under Grudge's tutelage. We also cut across the world and see the mediator doing his thing, Mr. Pink, as he's more or less trying to slightly incite a war between the dragon people and the normies that are at the university. And so Al, the Grudge's ability is, of course, to cast illusions and things of that nature. Mr. Pink's ability is to more or less have actual mind control, in a way. And that is where we're leaving off for the night.
All right, cool, awesome. All right, well, yeah, I think we got a nice little beginning here. I have a feeling this is going to be another thing where, like, when we get to the end of next week's episode, we're going to be like, we want to do this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Embarrassment of riches, people. Embarrassment of riches. All right. Well, as always, thank you everyone for watching and listening and everything. Please make sure to check us out on Twitch. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out everywhere you like to consume your media. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm gonna go ahead